And I told you that Jada was addicted to. So how Jada would watch at the house is she had her laptop, she would stick her hard drive in, right? Boom, and hook it up to the TV.
Recently, you've opened up and talked about back in your early days when you were younger. You said that you were a drug dealer, and you said you just decided that this one little piece was important to share.
A bad one at that.
You weren't even a good drug dealer?
I wasn't a good one.
Oh, no. But you said it was finally time to share. So why was now the time?
Well, I felt like there had been, and still is, a lot of missing pieces to my relationship with Tupac, and I know that there's a lot of intrigue around it.
Jennifer Lopez, Puff, Will Smith, and Jada, and it was sitting on the other side of the room. So I know Puff so well that he stood up. When he stood up, he walked and did his arm some kind of way, and then he went like this, like that. I went over towards him. I know to go over there towards him. So I go over towards him, and he said to me, he said, "Yo, I think Will and Jada is trying to scoop up Jennifer. I want you to stay close, because I'ma snuff him."
Being around Will for 38 years and Jada for almost 3 decades, I saw a lot of things that I believe to be criminal.
You expect to be with somebody forever, ever? Forever, ever? It's like, let's get real with it from the gate,
For years, public attention focused on the situation as celebrity dysfunction. The marriage was viewed as unconventional, the interviews as awkward, and the online reaction largely treated it as entertainment. That framing held for a long time, reinforced by jokes, commentary, and viral clips. More recently, that interpretation has become harder to sustain. When the rumors, public statements, prolonged silence, and subsequent legal actions are considered together, the picture appears less like a chaotic relationship and more like a situation that deteriorated privately over many years. What has drawn particular attention is that individuals with close proximity remained silent for decades until one of them chose to speak. That decision marked a turning point.
And I told you that Jada was addicted to. So how Jada would watch at the house is she had her laptop, she would stick her hard drive in, right? Boom, and hook it up to the TV, and she could play whatever video she watching. So now, I'm seeing videos of her and Will and a bunch of some celebrities, everything. Because remember, the last interview I told you, if you don't sue me, I'm gonna let people know who you've been hitting with them dildos. I don't know if you remember that, but I remember. Your wino's gonna remember it. And I said, if you don't sue, I'm gonna sue. So I told you, being Muslim, whatever I say I'm gonna do, that's what I'm gonna do. Period. And I gotta have evidence. So we not playing. That's why they didn't sue.
For decades, Will Smith and Jada Pinkett Smith presented a carefully managed public image. It was not positioned as traditional or flawless, but as self-aware, emotionally evolved, and transparent. Public controversies were framed as personal growth. Scandals were discussed as lessons. Discomfort was consistently reinterpreted as healing. This approach resonated with audiences. Red Table Talk, in particular, functioned as a way to publicly address issues before external narratives could take hold. While presented as transparency, some critics now argue that it also served as a form of narrative control. According to several insiders, what appeared to be openness may have been a way to limit damage rather than expose it. One of the individuals who later came forward was not a member of the media or a tabloid source. By his own account, he had known Will Smith for nearly 4 decades and Jada Pinkett Smith for almost as long. He described himself as someone close enough to witness private behavior and to be trusted within their circle.
Being around Will for 38 years and Jada for almost 3 decades, I saw a lot of things that I believe to be criminal within that time. So at the end of the day, if you want to say you're going to sue or whatever, now's your chance. You could just countersue, right? But she hasn't done nothing yet. The only thing she's done was allegedly pay all these people like Megyn Kelly, the TMZs, and all these people to put smear campaigns out on me, right? Megyn Kelly's called me a glamour. I never knew Will. well, how did I never know Will? And we got, I'm on his, he just shot me out on his first album and all the way to his book, Will, his autobiography, where he talks about me in the book, put my picture in the book, and put my name in the book. So it's no denying that. And if you play a little bit more, you'll see how repugnant and diabolical Megyn Kelly is for some money.
Okay, this is via the Daily Mail, People, TMZ, lots of them are reporting on this. There's a man named Bilal Salam who made a cameo appearance in Will Smith's 2000 movie, The Legend of Bagger Vance, who describes himself, this is him saying about himself, as a best friend for nearly 40 years of Will Smith. Now, I am being told by a source close to the case, they are not anything close to best friends, nor are they close at all. Like, they're not close.
Now, I will also point out, because I don't know how well you know Will Smith. I know you know him. I don't know how best of friends you are. We're getting lost in the semantics of what a friend is, and maybe that's something different from Megyn. But all I can see from Megyn here is she's really not buying that you're friends with Will Smith or even know him, and it's kind of offensively prejudgment to me. The way she's doing it, no?
When he spoke publicly, his claims extended beyond interpersonal conflict. He alleged that he had observed conduct he believed crossed serious boundaries. He has stated that these were not rumors or secondhand accounts, but experiences that made him uncomfortable enough to eventually speak out. At that point, public discussion began to shift away from celebrity gossip toward more serious concerns. Among his allegations were claims that explicit material was openly played and shared areas of the home, rather than kept private. What drew the most concern was not only the behavior itself, but who he alleged was present at the time. According to his account, children were in the environment.
Everybody talks about you all the time.
Right.
Just lots of rumors and tabloids and all of that. And you were very careful in the book, not in a whiny way or whatever. Let me clarify this.
Right.
Let me clarify these things that have been said. And one of the things that you are careful to clarify is it was never an open relationship.
Thank you. I'm glad, yes.
It was a transparent. You say it's a transparent relationship. And what do you mean by that?
So transparent meaning, look, I wasn't gonna fool myself into thinking that we as 20-some-year-olds, babies, mind you, getting married and living in Tinseltown, spending a lot of time apart, okay, that we weren't going to run into temptation situations.
You're young, beautiful, rich, temptation.
Right.
You're apart a lot. Temptation is raining down.
Right,
on you. Yeah.
exactly, right? And I'm like, hey, we got to be in partnership with this. Like, I wanted to face it head on and just go, I didn't want to create a culture of deceit or betrayal between us. And I just wanted to be real about it from the gate. I had seen so much just with, I knew what street fame brought dudes, okay? I knew what street fame brought, and I'm like, if street fame does that, I can only imagine what global fame does. And from me, my own experience walking into rooms, all eyes on me, and how intoxicating that was as a young woman. You know what I mean? It's like I had been there and done that, in regards to my earlier years before I met Will. But I just knew that I just wasn't going to set myself up that way. But it was never an open marriage, and like either one of us get to do whatever we want to do. That was never the case.
As you say in the book, it's about eliminating the possibility of betrayal.
Yeah.
If something happens or you want it to happen, talk about it.
Absolutely.
It's the healthiest way to go in.
Listen.
Because it happens to everybody.
Listen, if you expect to be with somebody forever, it's like, let's get real with it.
These claims led many people to reassess past interviews and public appearances that had previously been dismissed as eccentric or uncomfortable. Moments that once appeared merely unusual were reinterpreted by some as signs of deeper issues. While none of these allegations have been proven in court, they provided new context for long-standing rumors that something within the household was deeply unstable.
Will and Jada, about the sexual things they were doing allegedly to certain people and all that. And I told you that Jada was addicted to So how Jada would watch at the house is she had her laptop, she would stick her hard drive in, right? Boom, and hook it up to the TV, and she could play whatever video she watching. So now when I'm in Colombia, I got a driver, Fernando, that would drive me around. You know, in Colombia, everything's cheap. So he'd drive me around, run errands, do everything that I need to do. Kind of like an assistant, right? So we're pulling up to my apartment in Colombia. And when I pull up to my apartment in Colombia, there are a bunch of guys with two guys with black pants and white shirt, Scientologist outfits, right? Not saying they're Scientologists, who knows, right? And then there was another guy who I found out to be a private investigator, and they were by my house. So I told him to drive past, right? So he drove past, he parked. And I'm like, damn, why are they in front of my house? But the crazy thing before that, somebody sent a picture of the front of my door in my apartment and texted to me from a number, right? With nothing. So I put two to two together. I'm like, damn, they might be out to get me, right? So we're driving one afternoon, and while we're driving through that afternoon, a car pulled up with a guy with a mask on, right? And tries to run my boy off the road. So he's trying to not, because in Colombia, you have a lot of freeway parts, but you also have a part like there's no barriers. So you could, somebody make a wrong turn, you down there.
Because it's mountainous.
Yeah, so so the car is, so my assistant trying to hitting the other car so we don't go on a barrier. So the guy put the gas on, boom, right?
At the time, however, the public was largely unaware of these allegations. Instead, attention centered on a highly publicized moment that shifted public perception: the disclosure of the entanglement. The significance was not the existence of a relationship outside the marriage, which was not unusual in Hollywood, but the manner in which it was handled publicly. The discussion took place on camera and was broadcast widely. Will Smith was present throughout, and many viewers perceived the exchange as unbalanced. Rather than seeing mutual accountability, some felt they were watching a public humiliation. From that point forward, the dynamic that audiences believed they understood began to fracture. According to insiders, private tensions were intensifying at the same time.
In the No Soccer Mom chapter, right, you shoot down every rumor there's ever been about y'all. That y'all are swingers, that y'all were both gay and playing each other's biz, that y'all were sleeping with whomever you choose.
Yeah.
How does it feel in 2023 to still have those same rumors out about people you love, like Will and Dwayne?
I know.
That just came out too recently.
Yeah, and let me just say this. It's ridiculous, right? And it's nonsense. And this is a person that tried a money shakedown that didn't work. We're gonna take legal action. Because it's one thing to have your opinion about somebody versus just making up salacious, malicious stories. So that's actionable, so we're gonna roll with that.
As additional stories circulated, legal warnings followed. Publicly, Jada Pinkett Smith denied the claims and described them as false and defamatory. She referenced the possibility of legal action. Despite these statements, no major defamation lawsuit was filed by her. There was no courtroom proceeding, no discovery process, and no sworn testimony. The insider later stated that the absence of legal action was intentional. According to his account, lawsuits carry the risk of exposing information under oath. He suggested that silence, in this case, was a strategic choice. That silence became a point of scrutiny for observers, particularly as allegations continued to circulate. He has also described a confrontation at a private event, during which he claims he was approached by Jada Pinkett Smith and others. According to his account, the interaction became hostile. He alleges that he was pressured to stop speaking publicly, to sign agreements, and to retract his statements. When he refused, he claims that retaliation followed.
So now, when I'm in Colombia, I got a driver, Fernando, that would drive me around. You know, in Colombia, everything's cheap. So he'd drive me around, run errands, do everything that I need to do. Kind of like an assistant, right? So we're pulling up to my apartment in Colombia. And when I pull up to my apartment in Columbia, there are a bunch of guys with two guys with black pants and white shirt, Scientologist outfits, right? Not saying they're Scientologists, who knows, right? And then there was another guy who I found out to be a private investigator, and they were by my house. So I told him to drive past, right? So he drove past, he parked. And I'm like, damn, why are they in front of my house? But the crazy thing before that, somebody sent a picture of the front of my door in my apartment and texted to me from a number, right? With nothing. So I put two to two together. I'm like, damn, they might be out to get me.
These claims moved beyond informal accusations when a lawsuit was filed. A defamation case seeking $3 million was brought, not by Jada Pinkett Smith, but against her. The allegations contained in that filing marked a significant escalation. According to the lawsuit, the situation extended beyond verbal disputes. The plaintiff alleges that he was followed, photographed, and surveilled. He further claims that while overseas, he was pursued in a vehicle, forced off the road, and seriously injured. He states that his driver suffered lasting harm as a result. These allegations remain unproven, but if substantiated, they would carry severe legal implications. Following these claims, public reaction shifted noticeably. Online discussion became more restrained, and industry silence began to appear less accidental. Around the same time, other names and past associations resurfaced. References to private gatherings, elite networks, and alleged recordings re-entered public conversation.
We were at a birthday party that I think either Matt Damien was giving for Ben Affleck. It was just a little gathering. It was at the Four Seasons. Will Smith and his sister and her husband, we were all sitting on this side of the room. Matt Damien, Ben Affleck, Jennifer Lopez, Puff, Will Smith, and Jada, and it was sitting on the other side of the room. So I know Puff so well that he stood up. When he stood up, he walked and did his arm some kind of way, like, and then he went like this, like, and I went over towards him. I know to go over there towards him. So I go towards him, and he said to me, he said, yo, I think Will and Jada is trying to scoop up Jennifer. I want you to stay close, because I'm going to snuff him. I said to myself, Will Smith gonna beat the shit out you. Now, Puff could scrap now, but I don't think he could beat Will Smith. You know what I'm saying? Well, he could scrap. You know what I'm saying? So then he said that shit. So I didn't go back over there where Will Smith's sister and her husband was. I stayed about, if he snuffed Will, I could move slow enough that Will could probably get 2 or 3 punches back in. Yeah, but that shit was funny. He thought that Jada and Will was coming on too strong to Jennifer, making advances.
Over the years, multiple insiders have alluded to the existence of documentation, including recordings and files that were never made public. None of this material has been confirmed or released. What has unsettled observers is the consistency of these claims, particularly as legal scrutiny has increased in other areas of the entertainment industry. As similar patterns are alleged across different individuals, some have begun to draw connections. Once that process begins, control over public narratives becomes increasingly difficult to maintain. At this stage, the situation is no longer framed primarily as a complex marriage. It has become a discussion about power, silence, and the consequences that follow when individuals who once protected an image choose to speak. For years, the public narrative remained carefully managed. Legal proceedings, however, operate independently of branding and reputation.
How about this sex tape that's being shopped around, a Diddy and another male? They say the other male is an A-list celebrity.
I would wonder if he's white or black. And if I'm looking at any black guys that are A-listers that's bigger than Diddy, is only one that I could come up with. And there's a few I could come up with. Will Smith, he's bigger than Diddy. I would think Nick Cannon is bigger than Diddy. Who else on the black, that are black actors or black in the business, that's an A-lister that's bigger than Diddy, that's black? That's hard to think. But then if you got the A-listers, you know, you got to realize he ran with that black, that Rat Pack, and I don't want to even say their names because they said I got their names wrong last time. What's his name? Kushner. What's the other guy? Leonardo. Yeah, his name. Man, I don't keep up with these cats. But I heard that that's not only the tape that's being shot. There's some other tapes out there, other people too with him. And him doing some things with some other people. So there's quite a few tapes that might be out there, what they're hearing. And I don't want to see the tapes, but I want to know if they really true. Because if they got if they got some tapes out there and it's with some underage, whether it's celebrities or not, it's gonna be crazy, bruh.
If the current case proceeds, it may determine whether these allegations were unfounded accusations or warnings that went unaddressed for years. Historically, when influential figures avoid litigation, it is often interpreted not as proof of innocence, but as an effort to prevent deeper scrutiny.